Hi guys, I hope you're doing really well and practicing radical self-care. I hope that you are getting out there and you are getting exercise. You are surrounding yourself with kind people, good people, safe people. You are hopefully getting some trauma therapy. I hope you're reading some books, not on necessarily narcissists, but on how to heal complex PTSD, how to look at your childhood trauma that later placed you in a position to be vulnerable to narcissistic abuse, right? Because quite often, the reason why we're comfortable with narcissists or psychopaths or sociopaths or active addicts, why we feel like comfortable with them, is because we had some sort of childhood trauma where we were sort of primed for this type of abuse. What I found a lot with codependents is, these are, most of the codependents I know, this is anecdotal, but like we're amazingly good at tolerating the most egregious behaviors. We can't even identify abuse a lot of times because it's what we were used to in childhood, or we experienced some sort of abuse in childhood, right? So, we meet this person and we can't identify that they're an abuser because we're used to it, right? So, I really hope that you're doing some work to look at that childhood trauma. I've read quite a bit, I've done quite a bit of classes on this, and like, one thing that really sticks out with me that I wanted to mention is that it's very important that you learn how to regulate your nervous system, because if you had childhood trauma and then if you were in a narcissistically abusive relationship, you have this dysregulated nervous system where you're, in that fight, flight, freeze, fawn is the codependence mode, right? A lot. And so it's really, really important that we learn how to calm down our nervous system. This can be done through deep breathing, through breath work. It can be done through yoga. It can be done through meditation. It can be done through prayer. These are all some of the ways that you can learn how to calm down your nervous system. It can be done through guided visualizations. RAIN, which is an acronym that was made up by Tara Brach, I believe. It's recognize the feeling, what you're feeling, figure out what you're feeling, recognize, acknowledge, accept, and I is investigate, and N is nurture. So like, I'm feeling angry right now. Okay. And then it can help if you say to yourself, oh, I'm being triggered. I am in a triggered state. You might have, seen something or heard something or experienced something that triggered you, right? Sent you into an emotional flashback, right? Recognize, acknowledge, I'm feeling really angry right now. Wow. Why is this, why am I feeling this way? And that's investigate. Well, I'm feeling angry because I just got triggered by this email and I'm in this state of dysregulation and, my feelings are hurt, Nurture. How do I nurture? I can just take, like, one simple thing is taking 10 deep breaths. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I do this, I like to breathe in. I breathe in God's healing. Breathe out anxiety. Breathe in love. Breathe out fear. Breathe in love. Breathe out fear. 10 deep breaths. That's one way to regulate your nervous system, to calm your nervous system down. You can go take a cold shower. Andrew Huberman he's a neuroscientist that studies a lot of this stuff. He's at Stanford. He talks about, the power of cold water. Like, you can go, if you live near the ocean, sounds crazy, but go jump in the ocean for 15 minutes and you are going to regulate your nervous system, calm it down, right? So you see, even just from the deep breathing, I calmed my nervous system down. Isn't that amazing? Just from a few deep breaths, I just feel more calm and centered. So I think that's really important. And what I wanted to kind of launch into here in a quick video is just, that there are about the female narcissist. So I know that a lot of times when we're watching these videos, they are very slanted from, towards almost assuming that narcissists are male. And, there are a lot of narcissists that are male, but there are also a lot of female narcissists. I don't know what the actual statistics are because, I feel, this is just my theory, maybe not just my theory, but just an opinion, that I think that it's probably very undiagnosed with women, even more so than with men, because I feel like a lot of times with the females, they tend to be more covert. And again, that's an opinion, but because they, tend to have more of the covert narcissism rather than the overt narcissism, which is much easier to spot, right? So they're very, it's very similar, like what you're dealing with. Like if you were with a covert narcissistic male, which I think I was with, or a sociopath, it's like very, I think I can understand that it's very similar, right? So you're dealing with somebody who comes across often as like very shy, very vulnerable, even sort of like a victim, like you feel bad for them because, these bad things happen to them, or they may not tell you the bad things that happen to them, but you feel like they're vulnerable. And it almost creates, I think, in people like this desire to like protect them or to like nurture or take care of them. I certainly had that, it really, sort of made my mothering instinct come alive, where I felt like I needed to protect this person and take care of them and make sure that nobody hurt them. Like that was sort of what the covert narcissist in me sort of elicited. And it was amazing. So many things I did not bring up in the relationship that were issues was because when I did, this person would have such a sad face that I felt bad. I mean, that person knew how to manipulate me so well because, being overt in their narcissism probably wouldn't have worked so well on me. But somebody who was had such a sad face when I brought up the fact that our bathroom was under construction for 9 years and never finished, and he wouldn't let me outsource it or hire anyone to fix it, but he wanted to fix it himself. But for 9 years, it just was a bathroom that was completely under construction and never got finished. I now believe that was probably because I wanted it done. And remember, narcissists will do anything they can to thwart whatever you want. If you want something done, they're going to passive aggressively make sure it doesn't get done. It's so weird. They put more energy into manipulation than they do into just getting stuff done. So that kind of passive aggressive, like sort of punishing you or thwarting whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. They're sabotagers, right? So I think with the female narcissist, it's very similar. I mean, you're dealing with somebody who comes across as sometimes even, holy, like better than the average person. They come across as so kind and so sweet. And society looks at them and they think that they're just such a sweet, kind woman. And that's why it can be particularly frustrating because, I think what can happen is, men who are in these relationships, they might engage in reactive abuse because they're being manipulated so egregiously that they react like a normal human being would react to, this covert psychological torture, right? Or hidden verbal abuse behind closed doors when nobody else can see it. And in public, they're so kind and so sweet and so lovely, but behind closed doors, they're either using, passive aggressive withholding of sex, communication, affection, information, like withholding, right? Or they're even being overtly verbally abusive, right? And so this man in this relationship is like, sort of like in this relationship, this person they're with is so nice in public and so egregious behind closed doors, and nobody believes them, right? Because we also live in a society, at least I'm in the US, where we have a hard time acknowledging that men can be abused. We have a hard time accepting that a man can be physically abused, verbally abused, psychologically abused, and but I'd say especially physical abuse. We don't acknowledge that often in our society because men are bigger than women, and we think, well, that can't happen. Well, it can happen, absolutely. And verbal abuse and psychological and emotional abuse, men absolutely can be recipients of abuse by a narcissist. Or by other people, but by a toxic person. So I just want to give a shout out there to the men that are suffering from this. I've had quite a few clients that are men, and I absolutely believe them 100% that they have experienced the same sort of abuse. I don't want to go too long, over 10 minutes, because that's kind of all the time I've tried to allocate for these videos, but I'm going to make a second video on a little bit more about the details of the female narcissist. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.